Gather round. It's time for your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group. Listen closely as your coaches discuss the culture, the economy, and the political scene, and how it affects your home and your real estate investments. Real Estate Chalk Talk is where you learn the science of buying and selling real estate and the art of living in your home. Your education begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome to the program. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group. HittnerGroup.com, Hittner Group, all one word. HittnerGroup.com, 612-627-8000. That's 612-627-8000. Give us a ring-a-ling-a-ling. We'd be happy to have a chat with you about your move, your real estate needs. And, of course, that first call is all with no cost and absolutely no obligation. We are rolling into the season. Got some stats to report on, kids. You listening?
I am.
Here we go.
I am.
Active listings, about 5,152. About 5,152. We started the year out at 5,035. So we're up about 117 only. Only about 59 listings up over last week, so they're not exactly rolling on in the
Does
market.
it just take a little while, Keith, to get into? Is it normal that it's at this level?
Yeah, January is generally not a big.
Okay, so people aren't coming on yet.
No,
okay.
No, you'll start seeing that probably second half of February into March.
In the past, you'd always say the
Super
year
Bowl
starts after the weekend after the Super Bowl.
Yep, or
which the
Valentine's.
Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's over with now,
Burn.
isn't it? Wow.
Vikes and Packers out, so our neighbors.
Yeah.
Go Detroit or what?
Go
We
Detroit.
Can we root for another NFC North team?
yeah.
Why not?
Detroit's kind of my side
Yeah.
team. Yeah. Them and the
Your
Bills.
side
I
team?
hope my side chick team.
Still
So-
50 days on the market, though. So market
Oh, we're
is,
back. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
market is
Real estate
slowing.
stats.
Well, here's an interesting stat, kids. So we're looking at, and Keith Reno's got some local data. This is nationally. Nationally, inventory is up 27% at the beginning of the year versus last year at the beginning of the year.
Inventories. up.
Inventory.
Okay.
Supply, we call that,
Yeah.
Calvin,
Thank you.
in terms of economics. Supply. Demand, which is represented by pending listings, so that's people who have laid money on the table and are waiting to close.
Okay.
That's up 5%. So there's a
Big gap.
delta there between the supply and the demand, caused in large part by a couple of things. One of them was by the criminal activity of the mortgage industry, with the high interest rates. Chase is just reporting record profits, record annual profits, record fourth quarter profits.
Well, good for them. We
Interest
don't
rates.
do anything with them.
Yeah.
But
Anyhow, so
I don't know if I'd say criminal.
well,
Criminal.
it's borders on it.
Absolute criminal.
Yeah.
Absolute criminal.
And then the other thing is,
What would you like them to do?
I'd like them to, nothing. Go if you can get it. You know, why not? I mean, that's what they're in business for, is to make money for the shareholders. Miscellaneous nuisance debt. Bank of America had an article out this week on miscellaneous nuisance debt, that it seems like Americans are kind of forced at this point to start taking a look at it.
To what? To accumulate
To
it?
try
Or
to get
rid of
it under control, because
Yeah.
it is.
I totally agree.
Yeah, it is just going wild, because people are continuing to spend like there's no tomorrow,
Yeah.
and tomorrow is coming.
Hmm.
And so, they were the government has had these giveaway programs, for all the student debt was going to get wiped out, all this was going to get wiped out. There's a move about to wipe out all credit card debt, for a certain group of people, and these things they're realizing that that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, and that they're going to have to pay the bill. And if you want to move on, you got to get a handle on some of this stuff.
Some of the like the first gen money, it's gone
Oh, it is gone.
for our Minnesota housing.
Mm-hmm.
So we still have another program that has first gen money, but the other one's gone. They're saying, "Oh, hey, when's it going to get replenished?"
Replenished?
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry. And they said, "Yeah, man, I don't know."
Well, it's not, because it was COVID money. So I mean,
But everybody's like, "I don't know."
when the money, it was leftover COVID money. So when the money's gone, it's gone. It's
Yeah,
not like
so-
there's another batch
But
coming.
in a way, it's okay. Like I hope the pendulum comes back. We'll talk about in the fourth segment though that we start selling homes to people that have a little bit of money to put into it, because I think they should, and have not everything is free, and because the first time these folks have a problem, they're screwed.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it way too often. Like we're pushing these people in homes, and you're just like, man, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
There's no emergency fund. I love it the way the VA does it, which requires a residual. But anyway, enough of that.
So I think what you're going to see as the market moves forward, I agree with you, Kelvin. I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. Is we're going to have serious buyers who have a serious need for housing based on their family status and situation or lifestyle change, whatever it may be. But the whimsical buying and selling, I think, is out the door. I literally get calls almost every other day from quote unquote investors who want to buy houses to flip. Out there, they're really out there fishing now.
Boy,
for houses to flip, and they're just like the requirement that they have on the purchase price side, to leave so much margin in there for them to make money is ridiculous. I mean, it gets to the point where it's like almost laughable for what they're offering on the properties. And, because they'll come in $150,000 low, and then, their response is, well, we've got to do this, that, and the other thing, and you add it all up, and it's like, well, that's probably $50,000 worth of stuff. So you want to make $100,000 on this?
They really want that much?
Yeah.
Were they going after your property in you have
property up? I've had 8 offers on our property in Northeast Minneapolis.
Really?
And they're all coming in $110,000, $120,000 under the asking price.
Jeez.
It's just like, but then you get, when I talk to them, and it's like, well, we'll pay cash, close in 2 weeks, and all that stuff. And well, is it your cash? Well, it isn't. It's all hard money lending. Yeah. So they've got that they got to cover. And it just requires so much margin in the house that just doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense for anybody. And that's why they're on there calling, because they're just, they're looking for people who are desperate to sell. And there just aren't that many out there that are desperate to sell. We got a foreclosure rate now. It's under like 3% or something. I mean, just like virtually nobody is in trouble, and if you are in trouble, you can sell your way out of it pretty easy.
Go back to your thing on the unrealized debt, or the what was your phrase on that?
Miscellaneous nuisance debt.
Yeah. So finish your thought around that. You're just saying that people have a lot of like credit card debt.
That's essentially what it is. It's credit card debt, car loan debt, lease debt.
And what was the premise of that? Or just that?
Well, the country in 2020 everyone was getting a check in the mail, so they got used to spending money that wasn't theirs, and that knowing that check was coming, so they'd run a little credit card debt up, and then all of a sudden this check would come and help them tread water on it, and there was just a lot of it encouraged miscellaneous spending on stuff. Just stuff. And people buy so much stuff. I mean, I experience it with people is they buy stuff that they don't need. And all of a sudden they've got credit card debt on things that they really didn't need in the first place, and they don't use it. And all of a sudden it gets in the dumpster, and you haven't finished paying for it yet, and you're already throwing it away.
Well, and think about you do a lot in probate, right? So you have a lot of homes that come, and people have passed away, and you go into the homes. I went with you to one, and how much stuff wasn't brand new in boxes, closed with tags, just like, man, there's a little bit of there's something going on there.
Yeah.
Right?
It's shocking sometimes when you go into some of these houses and see the basements and the tubs, the plastic tubs full of stuff. And
do you think that's just older people or people at the end of life?
It's a lot of end of life lifetime worth of accumulating. A lot of 2 o'clock in the morning TV buying.
Yeah.
Call the 800 number and buy this new little device or whatever that they got all excited about, and then they get it and they never even open the box.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But a lot of that doesn't end up in like a nuisance debt situation. These
No,
people
it doesn't.
are just kind of like spending their money, and they know they're kind of on the way out, and
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm doing right now.
Like
'cause
end
I
of
feel
life
like I
accumulation.
have some end of life accumulation.
I think a lot of the credit card debt that is winding up now is a lot of entertainment debt.
Yeah, I think so too.
A lot of entertainment debt. If you go on vacation and you're putting the vacation on your credit card, that's one of the dumbest things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just.
Well, you might have to book it, but then pay it off right away. Right?
Yeah, I mean, just
You want to get your points.
You gotta get points.
you got to get your points. Well, you just don't want to charge your European trip and then think that you're going to make payments on that trip.
Pay for it over the next 8 to 12 months.
Yeah.
At 27%,
28% interest. Yeah, you'll be paying for that thing.
You got to
for
be
5
careful
years.
with the debt now with the interest rate environment that we're in. If you're looking at making a move this spring, give us a call, 612-627-8000 if you want to buy or sell real estate, 612-627-8000, or log on to our website, hittnergroup.com, HITTNER group.com.
All right, so we are in the studio right now with Bob Martin, and he's got an interesting concept that he's building out. It's called Construction.Minnesota. Resource for homeowners in Minnesota who have home improvement or construction projects. Bob, tell us about your company.
Sure. At Construction.MN, Construction.MN, we help homeowners find quality contractors for their home projects. Kind of our tagline is "We Got a Guy." We focus on roofing and siding repairs and replacement, gutters, attic insulation. We're adding additional services too. We're working with some partners right now. So just watch our website, again, Construction.MN, and we'll be adding those resources here real soon.
Like remodeling stuff as well, or not yet? Or is it mainly roofing, siding, windows?
Yeah, we are working with some interior remodelers, some handyman, things like that.
Okay.
So those are some things that we'll be adding very soon.
Okay. So what would prompt someone to call you? Like, why would I reach out to you and your company?
Sure.
Sorry, Keith.
That's okay.
Big reason is if you have an issue with your home. Good example is that a client reached out to me, had a problem with his, he felt he needed new roof and new siding.
Mm-hmm.
So went out, took a look at the property, realized that just the install on the roof, they didn't add drip edge, which was creating some problems with his fascia. His fascia was rotting. In addition, he had some damage to his siding. We realized that he needed gutters on the home, and that was creating a lot of these problems. So he thought he needed a new roof and new siding. Well, it turned out that the roof was in good condition. Siding just needed some repair. Once we added the gutters, that really helped in the water issues. So next phase is come spring, we're going to be replacing his deck just due to the water issues he had. And then in addition, we'll bring in a concrete company to help him either level or replace some of the concrete that he has in his walkway and such.
So what's your background that you're qualified to help me?
Sure. Yeah, well, I've been in the construction industry for a while now. I started in corporate America, more sales management with some large companies, built some very large successful sales teams, but got into the construction industry, worked both residential and commercial.
Okay.
My business partner is a professional engineer, so the great thing is we complement each other on that side. Plus, just the contractors that I have in place that can really support, what I do. So if I go in and there's something that is, a question for me, or I need a specialist, I can bring that individual in, and then they can give that expertise on how to correct the issue properly.
Cool. Tell me about gutters a little bit, just because I don't have
Sure.
any in my house, and I keep wondering if I should or shouldn't. You hate gutters.
I hate them. Have
So,
them on my house, but I
You
hate
have
'em.
them, and you told me I wouldn't put them on. Don't put them on. I'm wondering if I should or shouldn't.
Well, it sounds like you need to have me out and take a look.
Okay.
So I think part of it is it depends on the property.
Okay.
Sometimes you need them, sometimes you don't. In this example I was talking about, this homeowner was having siding that was rotting and other issues, and once we took care of those gutters, put those gutters on, that's going to correct the issue. The key thing is you want to try to get as much of that water away from the foundation as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So why would a gutter then help if you got rotting siding? Where is it? Because the roof hangs over, the water falls straight down on the ground. How is it going to affect the siding?
Well, water's going to splash against the siding. Depending on the grade of the house, too, that water may be, flowing back to the foundation.
Okay, so you got a grade problem, not a gutter problem.
Exactly, but it can be a combination of both. Mm-hmm. So, it just depends on the situation.
What about the grading then around a house? When you go out and examine it, so I call you and you're going to come out and take a look at the house.
Sure.
Is there a charge for that?
Yeah, right now, actually, for your listeners, we have a special. Normally, it's $199 to go out and do an assessment. Generally, what I do is I try to focus on 3 concerns. And right now, we have a special where it's $99, mm-hmm. and then also if you do move forward with a project, that's credited to the project.
Okay. So if someone is thinking of they're in process right now. It's January, and they're thinking, I'm going to do some projects around the mansion this year, and I have a rough idea of what I'm going to be doing, but not really sure. Give you a call. You come out and we have a visit with you, and you'll do a walk around and give me a honey-do list, or how does that work?
Yeah, it depends on what the customer wants, but yeah, I have a photo reports that I can do as well. Okay. Generally, what I do is I break down each category that they're have a concern about or interested in, maybe a replacement or something like that. And then just kind of what's the best next step. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it, too, is just educating the homeowner on what's actually going on. And then, okay, what's your budget? Let's look at this in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or, depending on where they're at with things, how soon they want to move forward.
Do you have, painters? Are you looking for, contractors to add to your... It feels kind of like a little local Angie's List type thing, where, you have... different people, and then you go out and you evaluate, and then you kind of push it out to your team.
Yeah, I'm always looking for good contractors, quality contractors, but we're very different than Angie's List, because what we do for the contractor is we bring projects. We don't bring prospects. Yep. We bring an actual project. So huge. I'm out there. I'm confirming what these individuals need, and then I bring those experts in to.
I'm curious about that. So you visit the property. You're the salesman.
Correct. Yep. Okay. Yep. Me and my team. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
So do you bid the job then? And you say you bring the project to the contractors. So do you bring them a signed contract or a bid the job, or how does that process work?
It depends on the trade.
Mm-hmm.
So roofing, siding, all those gutters, I can do all of that.
Okay.
With the windows, it can be a little more complex. I have a great window company that I work with. They have direct relationships with the manufacturers, and they can actually order directly from the manufacturers. 95% of window contractors can't do that. They're going through a supplier, things like that. So better pricing. These guys have just a tremendous amount of experience, so it's great. But I bring the specialists in regard to that.
So we're talking about essentially replace and repair work. What about that person who is thinking, I want to put on a small addition, or I want to, turn my deck into a 4-season porch, or something like that? Do you handle that kind of work as well?
I'm building my list of contractors in regard to that. I have a contractor that I'm in negotiations with, but he has his construction degree, and so he is a contractor. He does a lot of interior remodeling and decking and things like that. Mm-hmm. So again, as part of what I'm doing too is vetting the contractors and make sure that quality work. So I'm going to some of his projects, making sure that I'm comfortable with the work that he's doing before I'm referring him.
Are you finding so part of that is essentially recruiting businesses to be a part of your business? Mm-hmm. Are you finding that people are busy enough and they're I
don't need you.
Need the work, or?
Well, for certain categories, yes.
Mm-hmm. And just as a challenge to your business, I mean.
Probably the biggest challenge I have is for handymen.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a good handyman, they're always busy.
Yeah.
Right.
If they're not busy, you
question.
Beware.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but I'm working with I'm in negotiations with a handyman service that they have a lot of contractors, very well respected. So, that's one of the services.
Yeah, handymen are hard for us too.
They're really
business.
hard.
I mean, we have a lot of times where there's work that needs to be done, and you're not going to call a general contractor because they're like, I'm not going to mess with this.
Exactly.
I need time to come and do this. Or it'll be $500 for, $200 scenario.
Right.
Because they are so busy.
Right. Well, contractors like to specialize. They like to do roofing, they like to do siding, they like to do specific things. What I found as I was in the industry, it was just homeowners would ask for those little things.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you wouldn't give it to them, they'd be upset about it. So that's really where part of the concept came in is, let's find those quality guys and let's bring them in because it just makes me look better and potential referrals in the future. What I find is as I get into additional trades, then those people come back. So that's really, really what we're focused on.
Well, then what you really do is you establish a relationship with the client, with the homeowner. And if you were able to get somebody out there to replace their garbage disposal or whatever it is, even though it's a small little thing, the next time something comes up, they're going to call you because you solved their problem.
Exactly. I mean, and then I have a company right now that they can do any roofing and siding repair, both residential and commercial. So that's a big one. I get called in a lot for insurance agents call me and say, hey, this homeowner thinks he needs a new roof.
Sure.
Of course, everybody thinks they need a new roof
let's go.
from hail. So looked at the property, virtually no damage. And he says, well, hey, my vent, I got a leak. Well, we realized it was the vent. We did a repair. Repair was below his deductible. Everybody's happy.
Give us your website, Bob.
Yeah, it's Construction.MN. And again, we got a guy.
Sounds good. We're going to head out to break here. 612-627-8000 is our number. And our website, of course, hittnergroup.com, Hittner group.com.
Hey there, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. This is your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group, hittnergroup.com, Hittner group.com. During the intermission, we were just chatting about our Minnesota Viking football team and how
What a disappointment.
what a disappointment it is.
A great
I've been
season.
watching them for 45 years,
Put it
and
lightly.
they've never failed to disappoint.
Okay, here's what you have to keep in mind. There's 2 seasons in every football season.
Yeah.
There's the regular season, and then the second season is playoffs.
Yeah.
We're a great first season team.
Yeah.
14 wins, great.
Yeah.
And then we get to playoffs, and we can't do the second season, but the first season.
Totally lay an egg.
Yeah,
Lay
great.
an egg. Yeah.
4 losses, 2
Hard-boiled
teams. Tough losses.
Okay, so embarrassing losses.
Kind of, right?
Yeah, you don't even want to tell people you're from Minnesota. It's so bad. Okay.
Okay, I don't know if it's
Well, I thought there was 3 seasons. The third would be mental recovery season.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's what Keith is going through. He's
All right.
got some anger.
I have some
stuff.
anger issues there with that. Bob Martin's in the studio. We're talking about Construction Minnesota. We're talking about a resource here.
Bob
for
Martin's a hell of a construction guy name.
It is a good man. It is
Bob
a good
Martin.
name. Bob Martin.
Yep.
You talked
What
about
about Bob?
I don't know.
Yep. Oh, Bob Vila.
Yeah, give Bob a call. Construction Minnesota, resource for homeowners. I want to talk about windows
Sure.
because you take people in the house and it's the first thing they run over. They don't even know what they're looking at, but almost like it's a reflex. Oh, we got to replace all the windows. And I was in an older house up in Plymouth earlier in the week or last weekend. And we're looking at houses up there, and it's the first thing out of their mouth. Well, we got to replace these windows. I'm like, what's wrong with the windows? There's not a thing wrong with these windows. They maybe need some servicing. They maybe need to be painted or stained or caulked or whatever it is. But there is nothing wrong with these windows. You go up to them, and Keith mentioned in the last segment that or
Between
before,
segments, yeah.
Yeah, that there's the breeze was blowing around these plastic windows, and you go up to these windows, original windows in the house, and there is no breeze coming in. It just they're just as tight as can be. Are they old wooden windows? Sure, but they've got storms on them, and there's no reason to replace these windows other than it makes you feel better. So what is the difference between, because there are 10,000 window companies out there.
Sure.
And I don't know if there's one manufacturer that put 16 labels on them or if there's actually that many manufacturers out there. But
Which one is this?
yeah, but there's good, better, best. When you're looking at and evaluating windows for a property, say, so someone goes out there and they literally do, their windows are rotting and falling out, and so you're saying you need windows. How do you look at that and say, look, this is the kind of window that you should have?
Well, part of it depends on the property. Not everybody can afford Marvin Infinities and things like that. So it really just comes down to what makes the most sense. Sometimes homeowners have this idea of this grandiose plan of what they want to do with a remodel or things like that, and really, it's part of it is just bringing them back to reality. And
what makes a good window?
Well, there's a lot of things that make a good window. It's seals. It's the ratings on the windows, things like that. I mean, I think what you're talking about is a little more of when is it time to replace the window as well, and that basically just comes down to what we were talking earlier about some of the issues that people have. They have condensation on the inside. That it may not be the window. It may be something totally different. It may be just the condensation in the house or the humidity in the house. Those are things that you want to look at as well that could be creating a problem. And to your point, the windows may be just fine.
We're finding that the appliances that we find in the homes today, the newer homes, furnaces, refrigerators, all that stuff, their life expectancy is not anywhere near what the life expectancy would have been on an appliance that was installed 25 years ago.
Sure.
I mean, they're just built differently. They're almost like planned obsolescence.
Right.
Do you find the same thing with windows? And do you find that when you're looking at a home that was built, say, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and it's got like, holy cow, we got to replace these windows, is it a window problem? Is it an installation problem? Or is it a environmental problem?
Yes,
it
could be one or the other. Part of the problem with new builds is a lot of times builders are trying to save money, so they're putting in builder grade windows. So that's part of the problem, and I think
what defines a builder grade window?
Yeah, does builder grade mean bad? Because there's builder grade carpet, there's builder grade cabinets, there's builder grade windows.
Well,
does that mean cheap?
A lot of times, yes. I mean, it's what I would tell people is do their own research on things like that, because sometimes if you spend a little bit more money, you're going to get something that's going to last a lifetime, or last much longer than some of these other things. These little upgrades, and Windows is one of those things. It's not necessarily a little upgrade, but it's going to make a big difference. My brother has a house that's 14 years old. We're replacing his windows. After 14 years?
After 14 years.
I mean, that's kind of extreme. I won't tell you the cost, but it's tens of thousands of dollars. And the biggest complaint is the house is drafty, and there's other issues that they're having. So.
And where are the drafts coming from? They coming through the window or around the window?
Well, it depends on the window. It depends on the installation, but. A lot of times it's the window. It could be how it's installed as well. Okay. So that's another thing.
So you feel it along the edge, Keith?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. What about warranties on windows? And you get a more expensive window and you get a better warranty. Is some of that warranty or expense in there just like prepaid replacement, or are the windows actually better? Or talk about warranties on windows in general that you see in the claims process that can go through maybe with some of these companies on getting windows replaced.
Sure.
Or repaired.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's if you go with the higher end manufacturers, you're going to get a better warranty. You're going to get better service. I had Anderson windows installed in my house. In my past house, I had an issue with the screens. Called them. It was kind of interesting. I called them, told them I had this problem. 2 weeks later, I get this giant box in the mail, and boom, all new screens. So things like that, it really depends on the manufacturers. But we have some really good manufacturers, in Minnesota here. So that's the nice thing.
When you say there's builder grades in all brands. So you can go to especially in new construction, which they're throwing up, like corn coming out of the ground, and they'll have a brand name window in there, but it's not. It is a builder grade brand name, so they're selling the brand, and it's a little
not as high quality.
Not as high quality window
that
you would expect.
So every company has that. So like Anderson, Appella, all those have like a.
They all have
builder grade. I'm using quotations.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you're in the window replacement, is that a different window, the replacement window, and then like a new construction window going in? Is it the same exact window, or is it a different category of window?
Well, the window contractor that I work with, he doesn't install builder grade type product
at all. So it's not even available.
No.
Okay.
Maybe in extreme situations for more commercial or something like that, if that's what somebody wants.
Mm-hmm.
But the nice thing with having the resource, in working with somebody that's got 30 plus years experience, family-owned business, direct relationships with the manufacturers, there's discounts he can get. There's just an expertise that he just understands, like, what's the best situation for this home, what's maybe the best affordability.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody can afford the best windows because they're expensive.
What about the challenges that you find? I didn't want this to be a window segment, but it's interesting. What about the challenges of installation in, like, Keith's house has got stucco on the front, so you got windows that are embedded in stucco. I have brick on my house, so I got windows that are wrapped in brick. How are you going to replace the window?
Well, you could do, depending on the exterior, and that's a good question, you can do inserts. You do new inserts. If you do full replacement, then you will have to
disturb the outside.
Yeah, you will have to disturb the outside.
Okay.
Because you do need to have that nailing flange and flashing and things like that on there properly. That's another. Well, I won't rip on certain people who do certain installs. There's some interesting ways people do that, and it can create some problems.
Yeah, I had on my house, I had an insurance issue with my house with the windows, and we elected not to replace them because the person that came out advised us not to, because he said you can't get windows like this anymore. But with the brick, they were literally going to cut it out, stick it, and glue another window in. And it's like, something that doesn't sound good to me.
Right.
I'm not doing that, and you lose glass.
Yep.
Because it's another.
Yeah, and part of it with the brick or stucco exterior is that when you come back in to replace it all, it's not weathered. It doesn't look the same.
Exactly. Brick isn't even available.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that's a hard thing to do. So,
yeah.
Bob, why don't you give us your contact information one more time?
Sure. Again, website is Construction.MN. So not Construction Minnesota, it's Construction.MN. So just make sure we go to that site. And obviously, if there's services that you need, check out our site. You can, just request information. And obviously, we have a phone number you can call as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, welcome back to the program, the big money segment of the program. 651-231-2500. That's the number to call for the great rates and the low mortgage costs. Kelvin Kamink. Loan Depot. Still with them, huh? Didn't fire you yet.
Nope, I'm still there.
Still there.
Yeah, when you bring stuff to the table, it's harder to fire you.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get ready.
You're not an expense, which is critical right now. So give us a quick market real estate update. How's the market? Buyer's market, seller's market? What would you say right now?
I would say balanced market, pretty much, depending on the property. It's all property dependent. If you've got a nice, clean property in a decent area, you're going to be able to move that property out, get a nice price for it, and you'll have an ample number of buyers interested in that property. If you've got a property that is in a nice area that is, let's say, conditionally challenged, needs some fixes and some of this, that, and the other thing, there is enough alternative inventory out there that you will get passed over.
Boy, I went through a house yesterday, and it was there were 9 different flooring types. 9 different flooring types. None of them carpet.
Oh, God.
So it was different tiles, different like plank style tiles. Yeah, more like travertine type, 12 to 14 inch tiles.
Mm-hmm.
There was 4 different hardwood floor spaces on one level.
Great. Clearance sale. Got some remnants on clearance.
$450,000 house.
Yeah.
It is not sold yet.
No. So that's exactly what I'm talking about.
128
like
days
that.
on the market.
Yes.
Wow.
Beautiful backyard, nice addition.
Mm-hmm.
So they're 2,800 square foot home, but
man.
Clearly.
People come in, they see all that,
Hodgepodge.
and their eyes kind of glaze over.
Hodgepodge.
Yeah, and they're like, what's it going to cost? And sometimes, it's not that much.
Yeah, and it's one of my personal pet peeves, too. Yeah. So I walk in, I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is so bad. And they're the buyers are, what's so bad? I'm like, just take a look around.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even notice it.
Wow.
But it's terrible now that we notice it.
Now that you pointed it out, thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. Well, you saved them from.
Oh,
You did.
man.
All right.
Let's talk a little bit about where mortgage rates are. We've seen kind of steady earlier this week. We got a little bit of improvement. I'll give you some headlines for the week. It says initial jobless claims rise, surpassing forecasts and previous figures. So initial jobless claims. So it means the U.S. labor market seen a little increase in jobless claims. So that's good. So when things are bad, rates get better.
CPI
right?
was less than expected.
Yep. So we have a couple things there that helped. Retail sales grew by only 0.4 month on month in December, slower than expected.
Oh, wow, yeah,
so that's good news for us. U.S. labor jobless claims increased. Labor market conditions still healthy. Next one, U.S. retail sales rise solidly. Really? No, that you just your article before said no, they don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, there's one, we always like to give headlines so you get a flavor of what the market is seeing or what they're saying. But every week we also show how the headlines will conflict with one another depending on the source, right? So Canadian housing starts fall 13% in December. Right?
Interesting.
So we'll see if any of that
Trickles down to the
trickles
51st
down,
state.
So Canadian, our new state. Welcome to the United States of America. No, I'm just kidding.
So the government check is in the mail.
Yeah, right. So anyway, there's rates. They're still at 7. I mean, if we're honest and we don't play games, you're 7 1/8, 7 1/4 is kind of where you're at 30-year fixed money, right? So we do, again, like we say every week, we do things. We can say, hey, pay a little bit of a discount. We'll get a 6.99 in front of it because then everybody will feel better, and so we can do that.
Are you seeing more or higher down payment amounts now on home buying?
Not at all.
So
No. We're seeing
that's
everybody.
one way to get her down there.
Yeah,
We were talking
get the payment down.
yesterday with some buyers,
Yeah.
and we were just comparing, 3.5% to 7%, and how
Yeah.
much buying power is taken away
Mm-hmm.
from them in that environment versus where we were at, and putting more money down.
I know the challenge there is like
So much money, though.
it's so much money to move it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So once you kind of get in that range of that payment that you want, and I always do we got 4, I've got 4 columns. We'll go, we put 3% down, 5%, 10%, 15%, and you just go, man, it takes a lot of money, and you move that payment by $80, by $110, and just like,
Yeah.
I have to put this much
Those
more
are traditional
money.
down payments, though. I'm saying like 50% down. Like
Oh,
coming
yeah.
up with more money
Mm-hmm.
to get your payments. I mean, you just have to come up with substantially more. You
Substantial.
can't be farting
Yep.
around with 10 to 20%.
No.
You got to get into like putting half money down in
Yep.
order to make a giant impact on
Yeah.
to compare kind of where it was versus where you're at. And with people that are sitting in 3.5% interest rate homes for
Yep.
30-year fixed money that are thinking, I could use a den, or I want
Yeah.
a 3-car garage. They're just not moving. They
Yep.
just don't move right now.
We're doing more of these. We have a home equity loan, so it's not a line of credit, so it's not a variable rate.
Okay, so it's a
And
fixed.
it's a fixed rate, 20-year AM, and we're doing some of those now.
What's the
because
rate at that then?
8.
Mm-hmm.
So not horrible, but not horrible for a second mortgage, but not great.
Yeah.
But
Suck out $50,000 or something.
yeah, they're doing that, or they're doing the remodel. They're doing something
Are
because
they-
they're holding on to that 3.5% rate,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Are you seeing that mortgage being taken out then to pay credit card debt off at all? or-
The ones I'm doing right now, I've got 2 going right now, and it's for remodels.
It is for remodel.
And they should be using those dollars to pay off short-term debt.
Mm-hmm.
That's the amazing thing to me, right? So I'm looking at that, and we'll look at the credit. We'll go through, hey, this is, you're carrying about $60,000 of credit card debt at 28%, and you're just like, but yeah, but the wife really wants the kitchen remodel, Bob, right?
Right.
We're gonna do the kitchen remodel. It'll be awesome. She'll be super happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
you're not
week.
not their dad. You're their loan officer.
Yeah, for
I
a
know,
week.
but that's not smart, right? We pride ourselves in helping people make smarter decisions regarding their mortgage and money, right?
Yeah.
That's our theme. That's our tagline, right? Kind of like we got a guy, right? So
That's right.
So that's where it's frustrating a little bit, and you're just like, that's not great.
I'm not here to judge.
I'm not here to judge, but kind of judging a little bit right
Right.
now. I'm going to judge for just a minute, and we're going to make better decisions.
Just going to make my judgments known, and then you guys can decide what you want to do.
But I will tell you, we've got a handful of refinances we're doing with these rates being this high, and I'm just like talking to them, and it's like 7.8. It's cash out refis, right? And it's like 7.875. Like you're doing everything to stay under 8, right? 7.75, not bad. And the client, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so much better. I'm like, than the 28% I'm paying on all my credit card debt.
Right.
It's amazing. That's why that in the first segment you talked about that unintended or whatever
miscellaneous nuisance debt.
Miscellaneous nuisance debt. God, there's a ton of it.
They're
out
making
there.
payments
Holy
on
cow.
their trip to Burger King.
Yep. And I look at it with my boys, right? My boys as well. We help them set up credit cards, do all that, and they're like, and I'm showing them the statement because these kids, the problem is these kids do everything on their phone. They get their statement, they make a payment, set up an automatic payment. They don't even look at the fact like, hey, here's the statement, and here's the 28.87% interest. So, and then on this line here, because they don't show any of this stuff on the online thing. You got to really dig to see how bad you're getting screwed, right, on this stuff. So, anyway, it's fun. Obviously we love what we do, but we sure could use more business, right? So, we'd love to have more pre-approvals. We're getting some people coming out of the woodwork a little bit, but man, we could use a lot more.
What
right?
about student loan debt? How is that impacting the market right now?
There's a lot of it, but we can use a reduced factor on it as long as they're not making a payment. That stuff's going to come back to roost as well, right? So you're going to see some of that, but it's okay right now. The biggest thing we see is like as these first-time home buyer programs go away, that's going to impact people because we're going to need real money to go into transactions. But there's still enough money out there, right? We're losing the first gen on Minnesota housing, but yet we can still get the 18% here. We still can get 32 for first gen from a different source. So it's also finding the sources of that money, and that's a good thing for some people to find that. And
one thing that we got a minute left that they're talking about in California with all the fires, and it just made me question it, is that the reverse mortgages on some of these homes that have burned down. How does that work then? I mean, the insurance company comes in, maybe it's adequate to rebuild the property, maybe it isn't. What's the impact on a homeowner on a situation like that with a reverse mortgage? Is it the bank that takes the hit?
Well, the bank would take the hit, right? Because they're holding it.
Okay.
Right? And you're going to have the insurance company has to replace the home. I mean, it's going to be a mess out in California. I mean, you should see all the bulletins every day that come out in our world for that right now, saying, hey, I mean, think about being a loan officer in California right now. It'd be awful, wouldn't it? Think of the damage and the smoke damage, and
or an insurance agent.
Or an insurance agent out there, just be miserable. So, and we are going to get into escrows as well. We only have a few seconds, but that's the other piece that's really impacting us right now. We have a lot of people calling saying, hey, my payment has gone up on my mortgage. And so we've been going through a lot of escrow accounts and saying, hey, your homeowner's insurance and your property taxes are going up quite a bit right now. So you're seeing that increased payment that you weren't expecting, especially if someone bought new construction and now it's coming into the real
new taxes.
Boy, that's a big impact right now.
The full amortization of.
Yeah. So anyway, if you have want to have a conversation, questions, give me a call, 651-231-2500. Again, Kelvin Kamink, 651-231-2500. Love to have the conversation with you.
Thanks, Calvin. That's it for this week. Give us a call, 612-627-8000. Log on to our website, hittnergroup.com. See you next week.